Let's see, let's start with BIOC. I'm still waiting for what I believe is some pretty hard resistance on BIOC into 140 level. I don't think that BIOC's going to be done here. This is the same pattern that I've been trading recently. This is really just waiting for confirmation, which for me is the most heavily tested resistance, which on BIOC it really screams to me that 140 is a pretty good area of interest. So this morning we had ALDX, of course. I mentioned that I was looking for a short around 1220, 1250. That worked out very well. Same thing. I'm always looking for the most heavily tested resistance. Okay, I know that the high was 1294, but if you go back and look at the daily, this 1250-ish area came into play many times. So that's something that I'm looking to capitalize on when I look at a stock, when I'm looking for weakness on a stock. And right now on ALDX, you know, if we can see a wash, see this has such large range, so I don't think it's going to happen today, but if we can see a wash to 950s to 970, 980 area, then we could probably see a pop into 1120s for a fade there. Then if it continues to go higher, again, that 1250 area is probably a pretty safe bet for resistance. Also had ATOS. Really awesome short opportunity on ATOS. Again, this 468 level came into play multiple times in the morning. You know, now ATOS, after it's dumped and faded to new support, it might be able to test this 440, 445 area as resistance before fading again. So that's what I'm looking to do, guys. I'm just looking to take these consistent, repeatable patterns just by looking at the daily chart, confirming that these are the areas that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the highest and most tested resistance levels, and that's how I base my approach. So how's everyone doing? Market's a little bit dead, so I know that a lot of people started their day, but what's up, Wall Ball? Not much, about to hit the gym. Just wanted to hear the recap. The gym is awesome. Thanks for sticking around. Hopro says small green. Awesome. Great job. Thank you. Tomorrow will be a test. Never had 3 straight green days yet. Hey man, first time for everything. I think being inside the room, you have a pretty great chance of doing that. Wall Ball, yesterday had a huge setback on AXSM calls. Nice to be in the green today as well. Let me check out AXSM. I forget things day to day, I swear. Sometimes I forget what I was trading yesterday. That's crazy, right? You know why? It's because I spend all afternoon and evening back testing. So I might run through 50, 60, 70, 100 stocks, and then I immediately go to bed, you know, after I'm done with that. So many times I'm like, wait, what did I do yesterday? How do I backtest? Okay, so oh wow, a lot of you guys want to hear about it. What's up, Faith? What's up, Zachem? Nice to see you guys. Maya, what's up, man? Yeah, Thinkorswim on demand. It's a match made in heaven for people who want to backtest stocks. So I use Thinkorswim on demand. It's funny. The first broker I ever had was Thinkorswim, and I was trying to day trade under PDT there, and of course I got the charts, and I was on mobile and whatever, and I quickly found out that that's not the place for me to be. But I kept the software, and no matter what brokers I'm using, I do not chart on DOS, do not chart anywhere else. I love the Thinkorswim charts. So, hey man, once you find something that resonates with you, no need to switch it up. I mean, I think that Thinkorswim is best in the business, honestly. We have had a few times in 2018, you guys may have remembered, where Thinkorswim totally froze up, and man, I think there was like a 2 or 3 week period where Thinkorswim was freezing, not updating the level 2 quotes. But I don't look at Thinkorswim for level 2 quotes anyway. I'm looking at DOS for that, just because the difference is like night and day. But I'm saying for charting, when I'm charting, I'll have one screen. Actually, I have 3 big monitors. They're all 32-inch ultra wides. The middle's a 34-inch ultra wide, and the sides are 32s. And 2 of my screens are just for charting, and then one of them will be for brokers and executions. So about backtesting, the first thing that I like to do when I'm backtesting is you have to know what you're testing, right? You have to have parameters. So naming the setups is very important. I have a name for everything. Like for example, I have a few different short patterns. One is called the base pattern. One is called the control pattern. And you guys know that I'm my analysis is based on math. There are certain equations that I have deemed a control equation, and that means that when you have a completed level, that area will act as resistance many times over. So it's not just it's an area that I can use multiple tests if need be. If the stock just keeps on popping there, you just keep trading it until it breaks out higher and it doesn't work anymore. And then you'll see, obviously, when price starts to break above key levels, that area is no longer a control point. But basically, I name all of your setups. You have to know exactly what the setup is, and you have to name it, and you have to have parameters for that setup. That's the first step in backtesting. So to test something, you have to have an exact methodology, or close to exact. I mean, you can play around with it later, but you really have to have an exact methodology. What do I mean by that? When you're testing something, you already have to have an idea of your risk reward. Okay, you must. How else can you identify that something is working or not? Seeing something fade from an area, or bounce from an area, or squeeze at an area, that's just not enough. It's not enough. You have to have a defined reward and a defined risk, or at least an idea of what you're looking for. Okay, so step 1 is name your setups. Step 2, have a game plan in mind. You have to research, and this is where having a trading journal really comes into play. And it's of utmost importance, because like I just shared with you guys at the beginning of the show, I may not always remember what I was trading yesterday. I probably don't remember what I was trading 2-3 days ago. I mean, unless we have like a BPTH situation or I really banked on a play or whatever, but I'm trading so many different things. I'm trading and tracking so many different things. I can't retain what they are all the time. Like, you know, something 3-4 days ago, I may not remember until I see my price alert. You know, so I don't have to remember because I set price alerts for everything. Okay, I'm not trying to remember where the next short is on this stock. So what I'll do on Thinkorswim is I'll mark it on my chart. I'll mark it with a price level, and it's color coded so that I know which short it is or which long it is or whatever. And it's all systematic. And then I set a price alert. Okay, so I have a scanner that allows me to set a price alert, and then when it gets within a certain percentage of that area that I look for a trade on, it'll alert me. I'll load up the screen. I'll see if the volume is if there's ample volume, there's liquidity, if, you know, if it's something that I'm still interested in a few days or a few weeks or a few months later. Okay, so I set it and forget it. It must have ample liquidity for me to do business, and I don't have to chart and sit there. I don't have to chart and figure out where something is going. So before I move on to the next stock, I set a price level, an area of interest that I think is important, and I'll move on and set a price alert, and I'll move on. So that way, it saves us a lot of time. You know, if we have something like, for example, I might see on the scanner right away buyout is popping, right? That's what happened today.
Yeah, I messed up.
Phil can't hear me. Hang on one second, guys. I'm going to try to help Phil out. Probably help him if I could spell. Hang on, give me a second, guys. I want to get Phil in here. We'll give him a minute or two. And I'm going to get back to the backtesting question, Faith and others. Phil, you here? Can you hear me? Let's see, got an alert, EKSO, initiated buy with 370 price target. Can you hear me, Phil? Okay, I think I might have to, let me see. Ball says, turn up your volume, bro. Yeah, if it's connected, I don't know why he can't hear. I'll have to let him play around with it. You might miss this one. I don't want to stop the. Okay, so BIOC today, for example. I got an alert right around 1:15 area that I set. Man, when did I set that? I think I set that on March 15th, 2019. So I know right away when I'm looking at when I'm looking at a stock that's populating on my scanner, I'm looking for a price level that I have marked in the past. So this way, the beauty of doing this is that when something is popping up on the scanner, I don't have to draw my technical analysis or do my calculations on a stock real time. I already know the area of interest that I have, and that way I can see if there's ample liquidity, and then I can borrow it and look for a short. So that cuts a lot of time out of the game plan, and it's very important that we do that, in my opinion. I think that if you spend enough time at night in the evenings after the market's closed, or even when the market's open, if you can, if you want, going through all the setups that you're looking for the next day or in the future, that's something that's really going to help you out, because you have two things happen, right? When the market's closed and we're looking at tickers and we're doing our analysis, there is no reeling of the tape on level 2. There's no fear of missing out. There's very little emotion there. You know, you can think clearly. You can come up with a game plan, and you're not rushed. You're not under any pressure. You're not watching people on Twitter or in chat or everyone talking about it, making money, losing money, etc. You see what I'm saying? You have a very non-emotional environment to do your analysis. And sometimes doing it on the fly especially while you're in the middle of trades, you might screw something up, or you might miss something. You're rushing. You may be too biased in that very moment. You saw one of your buddies or a great trader that you respect say that this is going much higher. Well, maybe that doesn't fit in with your game plan, right? So for example, I have a 140 area of interest for the short side on buyout. Okay, I know that because I calculated that and I did my analysis on the stock. Phil, nice to see you. I'm glad you can make it. I calculated that and did my analysis on the stock, and I marked it, and that way I know if it pops up, and when it pops up again, I'll be ready for it. Okay? So back to the back testing. First step is you have to know what you're testing, right? You have to name the setups. Okay? Identify, what are they? Longs, shorts? What are you looking for? For example, are you looking for a double top situation? Are you looking for a lower high situation? Are you looking for a squeeze? Are you looking for a bounce? You have to identify what exactly you're looking for. Then you have to have a general idea of the risk and reward for that play. That's the only truly, that's the way that you can truly define if it's a valid system or not. It's not just about how many times it wins versus loses. The win rates can be very deceiving, as you know. A very high win rate is usually correlated with a 1-to-1 or maybe slightly less than a 1-to-1 reward to risk. And actually, despite popular belief, the win rates that are 30% to 60% generate a very, very large amount of money, because you oftentimes can have a reward that's 3, 4, 5, 6 or more times the risk. Okay, so win rates can be very deceiving. That's something that you can play with later, but definitely identify the reward and the risk for the play. Now, of course, as you progress as a trader, as this system evolves, you may notice that, hey, I can hold it a little bit longer on this stock. I can hold this a little bit longer. This is great. It's working, and that's awesome. But hey, what I once thought was a scalp, now it's more of a 2-to-1 reward to risk, or maybe even a 3-to-1, or maybe more. Or maybe after trading your system for a period of time, you'll notice, hey, this is when things like really collapse, or this is when things really rip. Okay, I'm not gonna sell this bounce for 10 cents or whatever. I've tested this pattern before. And in this amount of examples, the stock goes much higher. So I'm not going to sell early or cover early. Okay, you guys get what I'm saying? So let's see. Wallball, can you set those alerts on Thinkorswim? Yeah, you can, but I don't use Thinkorswim for that. I haven't found that much success with Thinkorswim for alerts. OG Honey Badger, can you name some examples of setups that you track? Yeah, so I name my setups short and long. Like I said, I have a base short. I've named it the base short. I'm shorting into a base, how I identify a base. Then I have a control short, and a control short is an area that price is very likely to continue to fade from multiple times, not just once, but it's really acting as control. There's a lot of control around that price, verified with volume in my Fibonacci approach, and it's almost like a master resistance. Sometimes you guys have heard me talk about a master resistance, but there are areas that you'll find that as you evolve as traders and as you start to identify price action, there's going to be areas on stocks where you're going to really start drooling once you see price get there, because you know that it's going to be a really great short at that level, and it'll continue to be a great short at that level, or it'll be a great bounce at that level. It's a very key area over and over and over throughout the history of price. So name your setups, and then you can identify their movement. See, Nano, hi Micah, I had sushi for lunch. I thought of you. Thanks, man. No sushi for me for a while. I hope it was great. I'm back on keto, so post some pictures of the sushi. I'll live vicariously through you. Okay, Wallball, 3 questions. Number 1, how do you decide what stocks to backtest? Is it under parameters like up 10%, up 25%, etc.? Okay, so the first thing that I like to look for is definitely percentage, yeah. I like to trade around gaps, so what I'm looking for is a gap at least of 18 to 20%. That's when I'll start getting interested. Anything below that, there's really not a whole lot of room to do business in for me. So I'm looking at a gap of 18 to 20%. Now, of course, if we have a $100 stock, the gap doesn't need to be that extreme, and oftentimes it won't be, because you'll still have some good range there. But for small caps, I'm looking at about 18 to 20%. Second question, when you're backtesting, are you watching how it reacts to levels? Is that how you develop your plan? Yes, absolutely. I'm absolutely watching how stock reacts at levels. So even though I have a proven systematic approach, I'm always testing. When I pull up a stock, I'm constantly testing and seeing if it worked on this stock. And I'm just going over to my spreadsheets and I'm updating them. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Tesla. I don't care if it's Biot. I'm always looking to see if my approach needs any tweaking. Always. So I'm always looking to see if I can identify something that will help me tweak my approach. You know, like I recently did that a few weeks ago. I noticed that I was entering some trades around 61.8 on the fib, and you know, it really seems that price likes to get to the 50%. instead. And that's something that I had to take note of. I said, hey, on a small cap, it's only a few cents, but on large caps, this could be 20, 30, 40 cents of heat that I don't necessarily need to take. So instead of being early, maybe wait a little bit longer. That's something that, like examples like that, not entering too early, that we can do that with all of our trades across all markets and all examples. We can always see what we can do better, and I'm always looking for how I can improve and enhance my profitability and cap my risk a little bit more if I can. 3, does Thinkorswim have price alerts? Yes, they do, but I haven't found them to be that reliable. K-Trader, on your backtesting, are you using, say, 1,000 shares regardless of what size you trade in the stock to keep your risk reward the same? I guess. The size is really just relative. I'm not really looking at that aspect. I'm more looking at win rate and risk reward, and that'll give you what you need. Size is really relative. If it works, with 10 shares, it'll work with 10,000 shares in most cases. Obviously, there's going to be differences when you size up. You're not going to get in and out where you think you're going to get in and out. You're not going to stop out where you think you're going to stop out. You're not going to get full size where you want to get full size. Of course, there's things that there are some exceptions to that. But for the most part, I'm not really looking at a dollar figure when I'm testing a setup. I'll figure out the dollar figure and my own personal risk tolerance later. First, I want to see what's the win rate, what's the expectancy, what's the profit factor, what's the reward to risk, and that's something that is first and foremost for me. Umfrock says, right-click on a chart or on a symbol and select Create Alert. Thanks for that, Umfrock. Yeah, you can set up alerts on Thinkorswim, but I usually have like 100 or 150 alerts up at once, so I found that Thinkorswim lags, doesn't really give me everything that I need, and it'll make my charting a little laggy. I have to constantly keep upgrading it, and I've just found to do away with all the alerts, on Thinkorswim, and I just use a separate program for that. Wallball, as for the up 20%, do you mean intraday or end of day? I'm looking for a gap. So it could be after hours of pre-market, but I'd like to see a gap of around 20% on the small caps. What I define as small caps, anywhere from $2 to maybe $9, $10. There's so many important things that we can identify with backtesting. For example, I found that stocks under $7 react much differently than stocks over $7. Like from $7 under and $7 to $10. So there's a very clear difference in price movement. Maybe I can even say stocks under $6 act very much differently than stocks over $6. That $6 to $7 range is very key. That's something that I've proven in the data. You can talk to other small cap traders and they'll probably tell you something similar. Wallball, it's like watching a movie the second time. You notice the little things that you might not have caught the first time. Yeah, absolutely. K-Trader, do you also use a daily report card and go back to watch your recording to see what you could have done better with your entries and exits? I used to do that, K-Trader. That's a good question. I used to do that a lot. I would I would rate my performance. I don't do that all too often anymore. I get pretty obsessive about everything that I do, so I'm doing it regardless of my I guess my report card. But yeah, I definitely have a game plan for everything that I'm looking to capitalize on, and if something goes sideways, trust me, I'm there all afternoon and all evening and until I figure it out. You know, some of my nastiest losses have literally made me just absolutely obsessed with figuring out what went wrong. And sometimes that took me a day, sometimes that took me a few months, sometimes longer than that to figure out, okay, how can I avoid this in the future? Or on the flip side, how can I capitalize on this in the future? But most times it's how can I stop this from happening again? And, you know, my biggest losses were actually the best things to ever happen to me. They were nasty and terrible and gut-wrenching, but man, my biggest losses were absolutely necessary for me to grow. Wallball said his biggest loss was yesterday. Definitely gut-wrenching. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, number one. And number two, just know that there's a silver lining. If you can define it, there is a silver lining. There's always a silver lining. Guys, I lost so much money. You would not believe it. Life savings over and over and over and over. I would refund and it would be gone again within a week or two. Took me 6 months to save up or whatever, you know, and you know, but I never once said I'm throwing in the towel, and I'll never say that with anything. It'll have to kill me first. You know, for better or for worse, that's my mentality towards life. You know, if I have a vision, if there's something that I'm looking to accomplish, I'm either going to accomplish it or it's going to kill me first. And because of that mentality, I took a lot of losses. I was very stubborn, and there was a lot of unnecessary losses and setbacks and pain because of my approach. But that's who I am. You know, we all have to work with not only what we're given, but with who we are. You know, and my mentality to life, my personality has carried me in some ways and in some areas of life, but it's also, like, objectively speaking, it's also been some of the reason for some of my biggest mistakes or headaches or, you know, failures. It's because I was so stubborn. It's because I had that headstrong cowboy mentality, you know, and it's great when you can channel that into a very disciplined, systematic approach, but it's not so great when you're trying to get your feet under you and you know, you just shoot from the hip and you know, go crazy with everything. But that's my personality, guys. You know, I like to fight. I mean, you know, combat sports are very exciting to me. Like to race cars, like to do crazy shit. You know, the market, when I found the market, I took that same approach into the market, and I got wrecked because of it. You know, it's very important to identify our personalities and how they can either benefit us or hurt us. You can't take that same personality into the stock market because it's going to wipe the floor with you. Now, that same stubbornness and perseverance, I've channeled it, right? So now if you ask Max about something that I'm trading, I'm very, very, very stubborn on following my proven systematic approach. That's something that helps me now. What was once a weakness of mine has become a strength of mine. But of course, you know, in other areas of life, I maybe can you know, not be so extreme with certain things. And it's always give and take, you know, but with the market, it's very important to understand what our personality traits are, and it'll show you very quickly what your personality traits are. I never thought anything about who I was and my personality, you know, as an individual until I started to lose a lot of money in the market. And then I said, wow, man, this is, you know, what's going wrong here? Okay, I'm being very aggressive. And then it's like, okay, next time, okay, I'm really aggressive again. And then now I'm really aggressive and I'm really stubborn because I don't want to cut the trade. Okay, well, these are some pretty effed up personality traits I'm starting to notice, right? And then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm pretty aggressive and stubborn in other areas of my life too. And but the thing with the market is that it'll keep spanking you where you may get away with being aggressive, you know, in a boxing ring or in a gym or, you know, whatever. You can be stubborn in those places and that's fine, but eventually, you know, it's it can catch up with you if you can't channel it correctly. And the market identified that in me. So that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. Wallball, my enthusiasm is my greatest weapon in life, but my worst enemy in the market. Enthusiasm is great. It's I think it's a blessing to have excitement and enthusiasm and joy in anything that we do. But we can't let enthusiasm override discipline and a systematic, proven approach. It's good to have balance with both of them. I wake up every single morning and I can't wait for the market to open. I cannot wait. But I know if I step out of line, that's it. You know, so I think enthusiasm is a blessing. It's a gift. I think it's something that should be celebrated. You know, when you can find something that makes you happy, I think it's the greatest gift, man. It doesn't have to be the market, you know, but for me, it's the market. It's the one thing, you know, I found the market when I was like 21, and every single day, maybe not every single day, but almost every single day, I got excited when the market was going to open, and I found joy in it. Now, maybe if I was holding something short and I was getting squeezed and I had to cut my loss at the open, okay, maybe I'm really not looking forward to the open in that example or whatever, but I'd say 95% of the time, I've been happy to participate in the market or just to hear that opening bell. It just brings me to life, you know, and you guys got to find what does that for you. It may not be the market. You know, you may have a passion for the market, but you may have a bigger passion for something else. And when you find that, man, it's a gift, and you got to follow that. Maya says, me too, I get so excited every day. It never ends. I agree, man. Never ends for me. I mean, this is my true love. You know, this is my true passion. You don't have to ask me to chart for 10, 12 hours. I'm doing it because I love it. That's how you know you love something. It's like, if you don't love this, you're like, oh man, do I have to test this setup? No, like, dude, a chef will he'll go and hand pick his ingredients. He might grow his own ingredients, harvest the ingredients, cook with the ingredients, present the ingredients. Everything about cooking makes him happy, brings him to life, right? That's how I feel about the market. Man, everything about it, charting, backtesting, creating systems, trading, everything about it, I love it. You know, so you got to find that passion in life. Once you find that passion, that's your calling, dude. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's, like I always say, it doesn't matter if it's building birdhouses. You must do that. You must, because when you're passionate about something and you love it, you can be great at it. What's up, Cruz? You made it. We're just wrapping up. Hope you had a great day, Cruz. Maya says priorities: 1, the market; 2, girls; 3, family. Market is always my number 1. Yeah, I gotta favorite that. Yeah, me too. Market always comes first, man. I mean, obviously, the only exception would be like a family emergency or something like that, but market comes before girls, man. I'm sorry, you know, it just does. I mean, this is my true love. Captain Ramen, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know it when you find it. Steve Jobs. That's amazing. So true. Yeah, I mean, like I said, no one has to ask me to do something in the market. No one has to ask me to check this 3, 4, 5 times, to go back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I do it because I love it, you know, and that's what carries me. I would have never made it here. I still haven't made it in my eyes, but I would have never survived, I guess, if I didn't absolutely love trading and everything about the market. I love it. I love it. One thing that I really like to read are you know, I like to read about the market wizards. I like to read about, last night I was reading about Marty Schwartz, arguably one of the best technicians in the world. You know, that's something that I find interesting. No one has to ask me to read about it. I love it. Cruz says, Micah, you're my adopted twin brother. Yeah, Corp Free, the pit bull. Yeah, Corp Free has done his homework, man. He knows about Marty Schwartz. Yup. Captain Ramen, that's what my jiu-jitsu master says. Jiu-jitsu before girls, stocks for women. Yeah, it's family, market. I don't know. I don't even know if girls are third on the list. I don't know. You know, we're going to keep it PG, but, you know, relationships are fun and stuff, but when you find passion in something in life, that's a feeling you just really can't match, you know? And unless, of course, you find that person that gives you that same feeling, then, of course, that's a priority. But partying and, you know, hanging out with the boys and going on dates and stuff, I mean, cool, man, you know, that's great, but it's not as great as the market to me. Zakim is asking, what does making it look like to you? I guess, how can I answer this question? For me, in my own personal journey, I think that the first place to start would be to make $1 million. That's the first place where I mentally will say, okay, you've done something worthwhile. That's something that, yeah, I mean, once you make $1 million trading, you can say that you've done something worthwhile, in my opinion. Of course, $500,000 is great too. That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's very good money, and that's a great goal as well. But for me, in my own journey, I think that once I reach that $1 million mark, then I'll have some sort of confirmation, or maybe not. Maybe it'll just be, hey, on to the next goal or whatever, if I hit $1 million. Zach is asking, in 1 year or in the course of your trading. I'm just talking about in the course of our trading in general. Captain Ramen, my girlfriend asks if I love her more than stocks. Guess what I said? I hope you were nice when you said it. I hope you told her that she's more important, even though she may not be. There's no need to hurt anyone's feelings.
Of course.
You guys are gonna get me in trouble. Oh yeah, of course you're more important. Meanwhile, you're like sitting at lunch and you're thinking about BPTH. You're thinking about BPTH or whatever it may be. It's hilarious. Okay, guys, please ask me any questions you may have before we wrap this up. I want to wrap this up in a few minutes, and then we'll just continue to wait for the next pop into resistance or fade into support, right? Just looking for the next trade, waiting for the next trade. I also have a sick announcement for you guys that I want to let you know. ALDX, dying big. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I want to talk about a new feature that Matt Has Money is going to be releasing soon. We're creating a video library with step-by-step process on all the frequently asked questions that you guys have. We're going to be creating videos for traders to speak about everything under the sun in regards to trading. Okay, so we're going to have different categories for everything. We're going to make videos. So when the market is closed, you can check out the video library and start to work on your education for things that you may not understand. We're going to talk about everything. Okay, it's going to be a massive library. The videos are going to be created. We're going to start creating them at the end of this week, and it'll be an ever-growing library, okay? But it's going to be huge. So we're working on making room on the website right now to create a space for videos, and we are going to be bringing you guys a ton of video content that you guys can study about plays, setups, strategy, indicators, scanners, brokers, everything under the sun for you guys, okay? So it's one thing to hear us talk about it on voice, but it's another thing to be able to review it after you get home from work or after the market's closed. You put the kids down for bed or whatever it is. You can go and check out the video library, and we're also going to take suggestions for videos that you guys want to see, so that we'll just have this massive room full of content. Okay, so with that being said, I want to thank all of you for being here for this podcast. I hope that I have helped some of you in your journey. I hope that me being transparent in my own life, in my own trading, in my own setbacks really has helped you guys in some way in your approach. And what's really important is not about what I've done right. It's about the mistakes that I've made and identifying them and correcting them. So when I see something that I'm doing wrong, I'm always very vocal about it so that I can help you guys hopefully not make that mistake, right? It's not about getting rich overnight. It's just about identifying and capping the risk and the mistakes the best that we can. We're always going to make mistakes, but if we can start to, number one, really important, identify them, and then number two, stop them from happening, then all of a sudden you create an environment where you're limiting your risk and your exposure to a lot of your ideas, and it's a great place to be, and that's what we all look to do every single day here in Matt Has Money. So I make mistakes every day. Like I always say, I'm not a professional, I'm not a millionaire, And I'm always very vocal about those mistakes so that you guys hopefully don't have to make them. Stock Slippers, great show again, Micah Yo. I love hearing your insight. Thank you, man. Cruz, I'm going to start having a list of 100 plus questions to keep Micah on. Just messing. Yeah, a lot of you guys have been, asking for these daily Micah Yo shows, and I guess you guys enjoy, the midday recaps and stuff, and I thank you all for being here. Guys, if you support the podcast, please head on over to YouTube, create an account, and just subscribe and give a thumbs up on the video. That means a lot, There's no monetization for this. I just do this for you guys. So if you guys want to give back to me and if you enjoy the content, please just leave a thumbs up in the video. It means a lot to us. And, we'll just continue. Yeah, AXSM, salt on his wounds, wall ball. He got pretty hurt on AXSM, but there's a silver lining there, okay? And even private message me, DM me, and let me know your trade plan in private if you want, and I'll see how I can help you. Thanks so much, MRH. Says thumbs up and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. PSCH says thank you. Thank you for being here, PSCH. Thank you, man. Okay, guys, private message me if you need anything that you don't want to discuss out in the open, and onwards and upwards. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you all.